Well, a lot happened yesterday, and no, I'm not talking about the NFL trade deadline, but that'll come up on the show too. Let's get this party started.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Wow. That's all I can say. Hey everybody, my name is Paul Weston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. This is Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video program, also available in the audio-only version. Original programming, if you'd like to call it that, if you'd like, every day for 20 minutes. Without further ado, another guy I love, one of the great Jets content creators on the planet, Matt O'Leary, returns, graces us with his presence. Good morning, Matthew.
I am in the presence of a star. Look at this. Boy Green, Jets Twitter star. How are you this morning, sir?
So I just have to say, how did that catch you? So for people who are on Twitter, you have no idea what's going on. But I'll just tell you this, that there was another, I'll call him a Jets content creator because, you know, articles and analytics and all that wonderful stuff for JetsXFactor.com, Michael Nadia. He tweeted a pair of, apparently, and this is a shtick he does, but he tweeted a pair of eyeballs emojis and an exploding head, like implying on trade deadline day that something's about to come. So normally when people see that like me, I'm like, oh, let me go to Schefter. Did I miss him? No, nothing there. Okay, what's going on? I saw a lot of fans complaining in the comments like, dude, that's a dick move. And then he deletes the tweet. And I'm like, well, I screenshot it before he deleted. I'm like, what a dick. Come on, it's Jets trade deadline day. We're going to do this. But apparently this is a shtick he does all the time. But just because someone does a dumb shtick doesn't make it any better the 1,000th time. So I kind of said, yeah, kind of clown behavior, dick move, pal. And then he saw it apparently. And then he wanted to highlight some dickish things apparently I do. And then it went kind of wild. So Matthew, I got to ask you, when that stray, not a stray bullet because it didn't hit you, but like when that comes across your ethos yesterday, what is your interpretation? I haven't talked to anyone really about this outside of my fiance. We were going trick or treating with a kid yesterday. These are the only people I've discussed this with. But how did that catch you?
Yeah, that was wild. I was refreshing Twitter to try to get all like I'm addicted. I want to see these trades come through, and I was hoping the Jets would trade. And I was just seeing the back and forth, and I think my favorite part, I told you before we got started, the Taekwondo videos, just hilarious move. That was incredible. It was a very you made my day. It was very entertaining and relieved some stress as I'm freaking out about the trade deadline and seeing your Taekwondo videos. Just 10 out of 10. I loved it.
I appreciate that. And good. I feel like it was a good pivot no one saw coming in the middle of this weird kind of two Jets people kind of doing this awkward staring contest, calling each other out for all kinds of things. And all of a sudden, booyah, Taekwondo. Whoa, what just happened? And all of a sudden I see it was I think it was NYJ Mike. He goes, all right, we're having an octagon battle. And then all of a sudden people are going Team Boy Green or Team this, and all these people are getting into it. So yeah, still recovering from the ACL. But I mean, yeah, I don't know what I blew it out in February. It's November. I think I'm good enough. Let's roll. And by the way, Matt, you're a betting guy, so I'm interested where your money's at. Nanny, as far as I know, has not shared any kind of workout video or breaking down the tape of my Taekwondo video, which I expect to be the next step here probably. But where's the money line at here, Mr. Matthew O'Leary, who's a gambling expert?
Yeah, I would think that you'd have to be with the Taekwondo. I would think has to make you a heavy favorite right now. Again, okay. I don't know. Maybe Nani is going to come and say that like he's some jujitsu expert, and then we might have like just even money. Just just
roll it out,
coin flip. Yeah. But right now, I think the Vegas is telling me that the early money is on Boy Green.
Okay, that's good to hear. So everybody, by the way, in a side detour, Team Boy Green merch is available at the gift shop if you'd like a variety of colors. I just dropped that on the YouTube comments, also on the old Twitter sphere. I mean, feel free YouTube about section if you want to support. That's one way to do so. So feel free. Some shameless self promotion there. But anywho, let's get into some of the trade deadline action or lack thereof. We'll start with, I guess, the signing because that kind of counts as a move that's kind of factored into the day. The Jets signed Roger Saffold. He's a two-time Pro Bowler, and sometimes when you say that, you're like, "What? A two-time Pro Bowler when he was 20 years old, coming in the league 1,000 years ago?" He's actually a back-to-back Pro Bowler in 2021 and 2022. He had not been on a team so far this season. He was most recently with the Buffalo Bills. So a little bit of chutzpah there, wide range of experience, playing a little bit of tackle and guard in his NFL career. So there's a lot to like, but he didn't play very well despite the Pro Bowl with the Buffalo Bills, according to the analytical people. Shout out to all those out there unnamed that do the great work. So with that being said, how do you make of the Saffold move? Because I guess it has to be factored into the trade deadline stuff, Matt.
Yeah, I think it was an okay pivot. They definitely needed some depth on the offensive line yesterday. That's why a lot of people were yelling and screaming to make a move, make a trade. So I'm glad that they added someone who has a ton of starting experience. Right, he's played at guard. He's familiar with Keith Carter also, like during his
True.
time
Yep.
in Tennessee, which I think is an added plus because that means he probably could get up to speed a little bit quicker than maybe others. So I think you have to factor that in as well. I think again, I think it's an okay move. It's not anything I'm going to go jump up and down and say, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever." But it was a necessary, addition to a unit that suffered a ton of injuries. In this game against the Giants, they lost, two guys in really big moments. So I think it was a necessity to add someone on the offensive line. Saleh said the day before that these guys weren't going to get traded, offensive linemen. Although Ezra Cleveland goes for a 6th-round pick, which is something that I probably would have liked to see the Jets in on. But they did what they needed to do in adding a body to that unit. So they get a check for that.
Yeah, two things here. First off, I agree on Saffold. I didn't have a celebration party live stream last night about Saffold's acquisition. Again, anyone could have picked him up and chose not to, despite the back-to-back Pro Bowl. So I think he's just a solid guy. Thank God, knows the system great. Nothing to pop the bubbly about. But the Jets are in desperate times with all these guys dropping down like flies. They had to pick up somebody to come in. So he's better than, I guess, some of the other names that could potentially be out there. But obviously, it's somewhat disappointing. I don't know if you interpreted it this way because some people disagreed with me. But when I listened to the full Joe Douglas presser, which did not stream live, but it came available shortly after the fact, he was asked directly about a deal. And that normally doesn't happen in these GM things because why would they answer? But I think it was Brian Costello said, well, the reason why I'm going to ask this specifically is Saleh said no offensive lineman get traded, but Ezra Cleveland did, to your point, a 6th-rounder. He went from the Vikings to the Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. And when he asked Douglas about it, it seemed like Douglas kind of admitted to the fact that, yeah, we talked to him about it, but it didn't really go anywhere. So either there was a New York price that's higher, which makes no sense from the NFC to the AFC. Why would there have been a higher price? Or they just didn't want to give up a late day 3 pick, which just seems weird. I get he's in an expiring deal, and maybe the Jets didn't see a future with him, so it's a rental move. But I don't know. He seemed like he would have been a very solid guy. He's a young guy too, and who knows what can happen. Maybe you get oh my God, the guy's going to escape me. We just had him. He's a guard now with Nate Herbig. You had him. You acquired him for a little bit of time, plugged him in. He went to a new team in the offseason. Okay, to Pittsburgh. See you later. So I still would have been interested in that move because you can never have enough depth in the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't have minded giving up the, day 3 pick because in my opinion, I think Ezra Cleveland's better than Roger Saffold at this point in his career, like younger. In the reps that he played, he was really, really good in the run game, which I think is important because the Jets, that's their identity. They want to run the football and play good defense. So that one was really surprising. I would have been comfortable giving up the day 3 pick, even if it was just a rental. This is a year where you're trying to end the playoff drought. You're very much so in the mix right now at 4-3. It's something that I personally would have been comfortable, doing, but I guess for whatever reason it just didn't materialize. So they pivoted, they signed Saffold, and that's a plus.
We're speaking with Matt Gaston O'Leary, baby, here on Boy Green Daily. Appreciate you guys stopping by, whether you're watching live or after the fact. Either way, we appreciate you. And it sounds like, and again, I may be met with immediate laughter from Matt, but I will say it. It sounds like Joe Douglas was somewhat aggressive at wide receiver at the deadline, but again, they come up empty-handed, so you kind of go, yeah, okay, pal. All right. Yeah, Paul was really aggressive to go get this, but he ended up with this. Like, okay, I understand that. But it sounds like Brian Costello is reading his piece this morning that there were legitimate calls apparently from the Jets to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, everybody in the comments, we did see that, but this is a Jet show. But we'll get to that in a minute because obviously the Jets play the Raiders in 2 weeks. Zoinks. That's a very, I know apparently I say zoinks a little too much in normal conversation. That one's a zoinks. Oh no. 1 a.m. Complete clean housing. Interesting. But you couldn't trade Devontae Adams before you go, you jerks? Come on, man. A parting gift, perhaps? But anywho, I digress. But apparently the Raiders and Bucks told the Jets to go kick rocks, but they did make those calls. So on one hand, that kind of goes, great. But on the other hand, they could have called and said, 7th round pick. They say no, and then it's over. So I guess we don't know the depth of the conversations. But that to me was kind of interesting as well yesterday.
Yeah, that is definitely one that, I mean, that would have been the dream, right? Trading for a Devontae Adams or a Mike Evans type of receiver. But I still think that they needed something at the position.
Yes.
I mean, we saw like Donovan Peoples-Jones go for a 6th. Even if it was a wide receiver of that caliber, like he would probably even plug in and be like the Jets' 3rd best receiver. They
probably,
right now,
yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't feel really all that comfortable with Randall Cobb being their 3rd receiver right now.
I do not.
It's and like I'm a fan of Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee, and I'm excited that they're getting an opportunity. But having 2 UDFA rookie wide receivers try to carve out a role in a passing offense that's already struggling is, I think, a big challenge. So I would have liked to add just, a professional level wide receiver in it. It would have been great to be an Evans or an Adams, someone of that caliber. But even if it was more in that Donovan Peoples-Jones tier, they just needed someone. So I was a little critical of Joe Douglas for not finding
rightfully so.
Yeah, for not finding a move. I think that would have been really something key to do before the trade deadline came and went.
Yeah, I would have probably preferred DPJ of all the options, but again, how much the Raiders have been trying to trade Hunter Renfrow from what I understand from Raiders people I've talked to for at least 1.5 years. So it's almost since apparently he had that wonderful season a couple years ago. And then they still couldn't get this deadline. What could the price have possibly been? I understand a contract could have played out here, although the Giants sent Leonard Williams to Seattle and paid all of his salary except for the minimum. So that could have happened if you wanted a guy to be moved. I don't know, man. Like even a Renfrow for a late pick, what could that have possibly cost? Again, I don't know if he's the same player he was in whatever it was, 2021, where he had that career year. But, I mean, him as a slot guy, and he's got the old white man moves to be able to create some separation. I would have liked a little bit of that sizzle on the offense, if you want to call it that. So that one to me is kind of confusing because, like, they hate that guy over there. They couldn't, like, he didn't get moved. What could the price possibly be for him? I don't know, but
yeah, I'm not sure. Like, and to your point, I don't know if he's the same guy he was a couple years ago, but it doesn't matter. The Jets don't need him to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Even if he's the version that he was of himself that he is this year and last year, it would be, an upgrade. The Jets are looking for someone to come in and be like their 3rd option in the passing attack at wide receiver. So that's another one where if it's a late day 3 pick, I would have been comfortable making a move because you're trying to make Zach Wilson's life a little bit easier after, let's be honest, in a game he struggled with 95% of the way until the very end. Thankfully, he played well in the final drive and overtime, but it was a real tough go to get anything going offensively, especially in the passing attack. So I don't know. I would have been, I think, a little bit more aggressive in trying to add something at that position.
Yeah, two things randomly. First off, Corey Davis coming back. I've been trying to pound this table. I think he's the best wide receiver acquisition the Jets could make. It could make, excuse me, is convincing. And we talked about it with Jake Asman, another wonderful content creator on the show yesterday. The way the way Robert Saleh spoke to the team via One Jets Drive after breaking the news to the team, he said Corey Davis stepping away from football, but that doesn't mean he's not coming back. Like, he made a point of saying that to the team. And I'm not sure if Saleh was aware the cameras were there, but he said that to the team. That was just very interesting to me. And again, the only reason he would say that, in my opinion, is he just spoke with Corey. Okay, I got the news. Okay, let me share it with the team. Okay, then we're shortly going to have statements and press conferences and everything. You would only be parroting that from hearing it from Corey Davis about some uncertainty with what he wants to do with his football future and leaving that door open. So that one, to me, again, already built-in chemistry with Zach Wilson, knows the offense. It would just be as, accelerated of a return as possible. That's the one that, again, that I keep continuing to go back to in a lot of senses. That seems to make sense a lot. But I don't know, obviously, why he stepped away. No one does. But that would be the thing for me. And it seemed like Saleh left the door open on purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would welcome him back with open arms. I would love it if he was coming back. But I think we have no idea genuinely what's going on in his life and if he's even able to come back right now. For him, stepping away on the eve of the season in a year where he was, set to at the time play with Aaron Rodgers and make pretty good money this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You'd have to think like something pretty serious was going on. And who knows if in, a couple months it's cleared up. I obviously hope it is for his sake and for the team for able to come back and play. But, we have no idea what's going on. So I don't know how likely that is even.
Yeah, that's very fair. And I don't want to wildly speculate on what it could be. So hopefully, again, thoughts, love, everything, continue to send out to Corey Davis's family, because you're right. He was set to make $11 million and play with Aaron Rodgers, and he didn't know about the Aaron Rodgers injury, obviously. So none of that was a factor, and he decided to step away. So, fair points there. All right, I know we have the Chargers logo above your head, and we should at some point talk about that team. With Monday Night Football kind of delays, I think, the week of discussion. But the Raiders, man. They just cleaned house in week 9? So at the front end of heading into week 9, they clean house. They fire the head coach and the general manager. And here's a callback where I almost spit out my drink because, again, this all came overnight. I was sleeping. I'm an old man now. I was not up at 1 a.m. I wake up, I'm like, Antonio Pierce, the former Giants linebacker's the head coach now? What in God's green earth? And they play the Giants, of course, on Sunday. So that's kind of funny. Like, man, what do you make of this Raiders thing? And again, the Jets get them 2 weeks out. The game also will stay in Sunday Night Football. So screw all you people out there that were apparently begging for it. The Jets haven't had Sunday Night Football. Random rant here, Matt O'Leary. The Jets haven't had Sunday Night Football in over a decade. And people are like, yeah, get them out. The 3 most watched games this season are all Jets. Jets were in all of them. It was the Cowboys game. It was the Chiefs game. And then it was the Eagles game. So suck it, baby. And then the Bills game was still top 5 because of the Aaron Rodgers thing. So suck it, everybody. So that's staying at Sunday Night Football where it belongs. But anywho, back to you, Matt. Is that what do you make of all this?
America's team, baby. Things you love to see. The Raiders are gonna Raiders. They are a very weird organization, right? Where like these things continue to happen. But I was surprised, same as you, man. I woke up this morning and I opened Twitter because that's the first thing I do. I always
of course
see the news that's coming out, and I was like, oh my god, McDaniels is out, and I was like, oh, they cleared house. Okay, timing's
is
a
this
little
good
weird.
News or bad news? Because sometimes people can get a spark from this sort of thing.
Yeah, sometimes you're right. Sometimes they absolutely could. I think McDaniels was probably a bottom 3 coach in the NFL right now. Like that might be putting it nicely. But still, like 3. They're what 3 and 5, 3 or 3 and 4.
What are they? I'll pull that up.
Yeah, while you're doing that, but the point is, like, they're bad, but they're not out of it. They're still kind of relevant here. So
3 and 5. Yeah, 3 and 5.
So that extra loss, it makes a little bit of a difference at 3 and 5. And I think probably the right move. I'm not a McDaniels guy. I think he's kind of a toxic fella, but Antonio Pierce, who knows, he went from linebackers coach to head coach. That's
what he was before.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. All right. Isn't there normally an assistant head coach on a staff?
Usually, I don't know if maybe he was the assistant. I'm gonna have to go back
Okay,
and
I'm gonna
read
look that up now.
here.
We're doing all these Bing searches on here. Yeah, let me see what else I can find here. I'll do some digging on it
Yeah,
because that's normally because I would have thought there was like Patrick Graham or a more senior member of that staff, perhaps.
you would think, but from what I saw, I know he's the linebackers coach. I don't know if he was an assistant coach and a linebackers coach, but um,
Yeah, it looks like so. Just from, of course, the Raiders were very quick. Oh, I forgot Rob Ryan's on that staff. That's phenomenal.
oh, that's hilarious.
Um, but no, as I was trying to look real quick on their head, their coaching page, I'm sure they changed it very quickly. So either he was, or they removed whoever was from the bios. There was no assistant head coach listed
Okay,
on the coaching sheet. So we'll have to just live with whatever that is. But either way, wow, that's
yeah, surprise.
interesting. Yeah, well. So yeah, so ultimately, a fired head coach and everything. That's a team in clear disarray at 3-5. Again, you have to worry about the Chargers first, but I mean, how could you possibly not? How could you possibly not like lick your chops a little bit? We already thought that was imminently winnable anyway, but this I think can only help. Like I said, there's sometimes a spark from an interim. It's not like they're getting them in the first week; they're getting them in the second week. So again, whether that hurts or helps getting a week under Antonio Pierce's feet as the new head coach, I don't know. So I'm kind of perplexed on the feeling from a Jet perspective. Maybe I'll get it clearer when I'm talking to Raiders people next week about it to see what happens on Sunday against the Giants. But interesting nonetheless, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely, and you don't want to look too far ahead, but it's just Jets have an opportunity here to start stacking, continue to stack some wins, and that's going to be all that much more important in a tight AFC.
All right, let me obviously just hear me out. The Jets, Jets. One of my favorite Jets chants of all time. Me, Matt O'Leary, and Jake Asman. It's still so cool that we all got. I pinch myself all the time thinking about being at the Hall of Fame. What a unbelievable opportunity. We're all in different places on the planet, and to all gather in a central location for an amazing cause, opportunity, reason is just so cool. So that'll be forever one of my favorite Jet chants I've ever bellowed out in my life. So I'm looking forward to future ones, hopefully either topping it or joining the conversation. That's probably the better way to put it. Putting more
Yeah.
in that elite category. That is what I'm hoping for. So, Matt, let me circle around to this as we finish up this thing. Again, I know we're kind of talking about trade deadline stuff and all this. So, again, this Chargers preview week has been kind of shifted so far with everything that's happened, but we'll get in full bore because we got a couple of direct Chargers people joining us on the show later this week. But I'm curious, Matt, what's your take on this? Because this Chargers team is uber talented, but the Chargers always Chargers. They have maybe not the same stigma as same old Jets, but they have a stigma of their own that Chargers Charger, and they always mess up opportunities and they don't live up to the talent on a consistent basis. But it is kind of scary with the talent they have and how it could potentially match up with the Jets in certain situations, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, there's no question. Justin Herbert's an amazing quarterback, and they do have talent on both sides of the football. Mac and Bosa coming at you off the edge is scary, and they have the opportunity to wreck a game. But I don't trust their head coach. I don't think he's very good. They're a West Coast team coming to play on the East Coast, which I know that it's an extra day and it's a night game, so that doesn't have the same thing as if it was a Sunday at 1:00. But
Right.
it's still it's a long travel game. Teams usually don't play well going from west to east or east to west. That's just a thing. And their pass defense is horrendous. They, on average, are giving up 297 passing yards a game. It's up in the high 290s, which is crazy. So, if there was ever a time
Zach
for Zach
Wilson
Wilson
game?
to snap out of it, like, please, there's no excuse this week. I get it. They have two good pass rushers. Offensive line's a little banged up. Get the ball out quick. Get it to your playmakers and just, dink and dunk your way up and down the field. Get over 300 yards. Get a completion percentage up over 65, and everyone will love you again. Easy recipe.
It may be the primetime thing because the Chiefs game is where Zach Wilson did his Halloween costume, put on the Superman thing, and went out there. And it's funny also, I want to pull up the schedule to make sure I'm not missing a game. The Jets have had so many primetime games, I don't want to miss one. So you have the Buffalo Bills. They won that one on Monday Night Football, and they're going to be back here, obviously, on Monday Night Football for this Chargers game. They have the Sunday night game against the Chiefs, where they lost, but I think all us fans are like they should have won that game. And Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Now we have the third primetime game. Matt, this is different territory. Over the last couple of years, while I would hype myself up for primetime games, when they laid an egg, it just felt worse because the entire country was watching. So far this season, I know from a record standpoint they aren't, but as far as I'm concerned, the Jets are batting 2 for 2 in their 2 primetime games. They have seemed to step up when the lights have gone brighter for this Chargers game, man, or for these games in the past. And now we have this Chargers game. That kind of excites me, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. I know they lost the Chiefs game, but it was a great effort and it was a fun game. There was, offense, which is rare for this team, passing touchdowns, which is rare for this team. But I'm with you. It was 2 very exciting games that came down to the wire. Pretty much every single Jets game this year outside the Dallas game were exciting games late and came right down to the wire, a final play here or there. So I would expect nothing less on Monday Night Football against the Chargers.
Yeah, that's the hope. And again, hopefully weather, because not that I'm blaming weather on what happened against the Giants game, but it's another thing on top of all the other crap that also did not go well. So Matt, before we get you out of here, crystal ball prediction for us. Give us some. We'll get again deeper insight behind the enemy lines deets throughout the week. But everything you've gathered on your channel and all your wonderful videos and looking ahead to this Chargers team, what are you predicting for a final score between these two teams, and any final thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I hope the Jets win because I'll be in attendance with Ryan and Green.
Oh,
Bean.
that's right.
We're doing our group outing. So big tailgate. We're getting on the field. We're all sitting together. We have a group of like 60 of us. So Jets are winning. Yeah.
Wow.
There's gonna be like 60 of us rolling deep up in the upper tank at MetLife. Can't wait to be up there. Jets win. They don't run away with it because they're not built to blow anybody out and they play everybody close. So I'll say 20-14 Jets win.
Okay. I'll take it. That's what it's eerily similar to the Eagles game. What was the Eagles one? That was 20-14. Booyah. Nice call there, Matt O'Leary. Juicy. Quick question before we get out. Do you guys have any spots left, or is that kind of closed boot and caboodle with all the details going on, or can anyone else join you?
There are limited tickets remaining. We had a few extra sell last night while we were on stream. There are just only a handful. So if you are interested, you got to act like now. It's getting close.
Okay, what's the best way for folks to do that if they'd like to make that trek? Again, it's at MetLife Stadium, Jet Life Stadium, as some call it. What would be the best way to do that for fans to join you guys for those limited, capital L, handful, capital H?
Yeah, talkinjets.com, TALKIN Jets.com. You can see the tickets over there. Or if you are going to the game and just want to join us for the tailgate, there's an option on there as well. We teamed up with Tailgate Joe. So there's a link to buy for his stuff on there as well. And then you have the full experience if you're interested in that, where you can count on one hand how many tickets are left. So if you want to go,
beautiful.
Yeah.
What lot is that for the tailgate?
E26, I believe.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. That was terrible. But just for all the people, I hope, guys, there's limited spots left, if any. On one hand, he said he could count. And I don't know how many fingers you have, but you may want to join up. Monday Night Football, joining the boys. I wish I was going, for Pete's sake. I wish I was going to be that awkward foursome and their threesome. I'd be willing to do that. You should. Make sure you go get those tickets, baby, and join Matt O'Leary and Ryan Delaney and gosh darn Green Bean. Spectacular. Phenomenal. Matt, well, thanks for joining us on the show. Happy November. Welcome to the month of November. Very nice for the Jets in the month of November, outside of October 1st, so not too shabby. Hopefully great things to come, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast.
All right, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Take care.